Now that we've added hyperlinks, let's take a look at how we can format dates in list views to ensure they're clear and easy to read. By default, Scheduler stores date and date time values in UTC format, meaning if we output them directly, they won't be easy to read at a glance. Instead of a clean, user-friendly date, we'd see something like this. And whilst that's technically correct, it's not ideal for most users. Now, Scheduler allows us to control how dates and times appear in list views by applying formatting rules. These rules modify how a date is displayed. For example, let's take the inspection date field and apply a formatting rule by adding a pipe immediately after the inspection date field name, while still within the curly brackets. Followed by the word date, then open brackets, open quotes, and enter the date format you want to display. In this case, I'm going to use 3 lowercase d's, which will output the day of the week, followed by a capital D, which will output the numeric day of the month. Then 3 uppercase M's, which will give me the abbreviated month value, and then finally 4 capital Y's, which will output the year. Then we close the quotes and close the brackets. This transforms our long UTC timestamp into something much easier to read, as you can see in the list view preview. Scheduler provides a wide range of date formatting options that cover nearly any format you might need. If you ever want to adjust the display format, I'll leave a link to the reference documentation below, but just to show you an example of how you could modify the display date to another format, all you need to do is change what's inside the date function. Let's quickly try that out. Instead of, say, Monday 10 Feb 2025, let's say we want the full month name instead of an abbreviation. To do that, we simply add another M to the month format component of the rule like this. Now, when we save the column and preview it, we'll see the full month name instead. If we wanted to go back to the previous format, we just change it back to 3 capital M's, save again, and the display updates instantly. Now let's talk about handling date time fields. So far we've applied formatting to the inspection date, which is a date-only field, but some fields store both date and time, like created date and last modified date. For these fields, we can take things a step further and include the time. For example, let's format created date to show both the date and the time. Like with the inspection date field, we'll follow the same approach by adding a pipe after the field name, followed by the word date, then open brackets, open quotes, and enter your desired date format. I'm going to use the same format as the inspection date to keep things nice and consistent, and then format the time component of the field. I'm going to add a lowercase h, which represents the hour in 12-hour format, following with a colon so we have a separator between the hour and the minutes displayed, followed by 2 lowercase m's, which represent the minutes, and finally a lowercase a, which will automatically add the AM or PM onto the time. So now when we look at the created date column in our preview, you can now see it's been adjusted to this format. As another example of how you could modify the presentation of this field to something like 24-hour time, you could adjust the time component of your rule to simply be 2 capital H's, colon, 2 lowercase m's, which would then render the created date time in 24-hour format. But for this example, I'm going to keep with the AM-PM distinction. So we'll go ahead and quickly adjust that back to what we had previously. One important thing to note is that all dates and times in Scheduler are stored in UTC. However, the Scheduler web app automatically adjusts them to match the time zone set in your browser. This means that 2 users looking at the same list view in different time zones might see different times. If you ever need to display a time exactly as it was recorded in a specific time zone, like ensuring an event is shown in the same local time it was created, Scheduler provides additional formatting options. This is a bit more advanced, so we won't cover it in this lesson, but I'll leave a link below to the documentation that explains how to do it. And that's all there is to the basics of altering date and date time field presentation in Scheduler list views. I'll see you in the next lesson.